Good morning. The Bible tells us that we will reap what we sow. O in Filipino, kung anong ating itatanim, yun ang ating aanihin. Sa mga kapatid natin Muslim, Assalamualaikum. To all our esteemed guests, led of course by our little big president, the Executive Secretary, Bildia. Of course, the bigwigs of Philippine sports, led by no less than our chairman of the PSC and one of those who led us to victory in 2005 SIA Games, Kuya Butch Ramirez. The presidential advisor on sports, Mr. Dennis Uy. Please clap your hands for him because he's raising all the money. Each clap has a peso denomination attached to it. Of course, the POC, former Congressman Peping Puangco, and the rest of the PSC POC board, Philippine Olympic. And then si Kuya Mike ba nandito for the Paralympics. No, we're also hosting the Paralympics. Former PSC chair who's been helping me organize this, Mr. Garcia. As the governor said, no, congressmen, senators, senators to be, congressmen to be, mayors to be, and mayors, Tarlac, Pampanga, Central Luzon, my colleagues in the Senate, my colleagues in the cabinet, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. But when we talk about planting, pagtatanim, whether you talk to the real farmers, no, na nagtatanim talaga, whether palay or gulay, or whether you talk to the teachers who are planting education, good conduct and morals, planting the values for the future Filipinos, whether you talk about the government officials who are trying to put good seeds of development all across the country, we always pray that kung anong itanim natin, yun din ang ating aanihin. But there's also a common denominator. And His Excellency, our friend from Malaysia, said, mga anak at apo. Who of us here do not claim to be doing what we are doing for our children and our grandchildren? I've known Senator Angara for my whole life, no? And I know for a fact that he's always talked about the future of the country, the future of his children, the future of grandchildren, in areas that he caught his eye, like Aurora, where he's from, diba? It's always been about what will it look like in 20 years from now? What will it look like 30 years from now? And this is exactly the sentiment of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. If we are here today to open up his heart, you would see that the President is willing to sacrifice everything, including himself, for the future of every single Filipino, para sa mga anak at apo. It's no longer aspiring for oneself, no? That's why it is such an honor, Vince, to be here today, to be one of the witnesses. Because I was told, except for the private sector, no? The last time we engaged in a project this big was in 1934. And what was our population in 1934, no? Going back to our children, what do we teach our children? Diba, the basics? Do your best, go for the gold, discipline, eat well, stay away from alcohol, drugs. Of course, sometimes we're smoking while teaching them to stay away from smoking or having a casual drink, but definitely stay away from drugs. We teach them to the concept of honor and integrity. Hindi po ba? That's why whether lawyers, teachers, sa school, there's so much purity. But in the real world, you'll have to deal with real problems, and the politicians here know. I mean, the chairman of the Committee on Finance, Chairman Nograles, is here, and the realities you have to face every day, especially budget hearing, is tremendous. But this is what we teach our children. And the beauty of all of this is that sports is the best teacher of all of this. Diba? May nakita na ba kayong athlete na nagda-drugs? Except for yung doping, yung high performance, natitempt doon. But you know, athletes like my sisters, the one who taught me to not eat salty foods, not eat sweet foods, not to eat oily foods. Kaya someone told me, ba't gusto mo pang mabuhay? Lahat na lang na masarap, bawal. But that's an athlete's life. Kanina, she said her daughter has to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to train. Diba? Yan ang buhay ng atleta. So, when we presented the SIA Games to the President with the help of course, Chairman Butch and Secretary Bongo, simple lang sinabi namin this goes directly in line with anti-drugs. Because young people are looking for something to do. Diba? You cannot put real chains or any chains on the young people. They want to be active. They want to be out there. They want to experience life. So we have to give them an alternative. Diba? The people peddling drugs in the streets are saying, dito sasarap ang buhay mo. This is where you will experience your highs. No? So we have to give them the aspiration, the training, the facilities, the opportunity to experience sports through teamwork, through discipline, listening to their coaches, listening to their NSAs, listening to the leaders of sports all over the country. And that's why we have to set an example. It's not easy to be united, di ba? But we have to set an example. So my last point regarding that is building communities. When you saw that the presentation of the builders, no, and of PCDA and the master planners were not only sports complex. They were building a community. Again, you go back to President Duterte. Why does he love Davao so much? Because he was mayor there? Because he's from there? He's also from Cebu. He's also been all around the country. Diba? He also has relatives elsewhere in Mindanao, in the Visayas. But he loves Davao because he built a community. He taught people there, atheists, Muslims, Christians, members of Pastor Tibuloy's church, evangelicals, to live together. He taught the NPA and the MLF, and the police and military, General Salamat is with us today. He taught them na pagpasok mo sa Davao, peace muna tayo. Labas nyo ng Davao, bahala na kayo. But inside Davao, lay down your arms, we're all Filipinos here. So President Duterte is about building communities. So although we are very much inspired today in building all of this, I humbly ask my two idols in the cabinet, aside from the others, syempre si Kuya Art and Secretary Mark, no? Yung build, and build, isama po natin yung sports facilities. Kasi eto pang SEA Games, pero yung pang legacy sa buong bansa, for example, baseball and softball fields, no? We cannot just have 6 in here in Clark and then 1 pang competition. We have to have 20, 30, 40, 50 all over the country. We cannot just have 1 or 2 or 3 football fields. We have to have 30, 40, 50 around the country. For the longest time, pag high altitude sa Baguio lang. Ang problema sa Baguio ngayon, unless we can fix the air quality just like Manila, no, you both have altitude and pollution training. Dahil madumi yung hangin. So we have to find new places, no, to have this altitude and training, etc. No? So, pasensya na po kayo if I included all of this, because our task today is not only to plant that marker and to build the aquatic and the athletic stadium to our two lady governors who are here. No? Our future, like you, no, who are known as the women here, who are more mothers, you think not of yourself but of your children in the future. Our job here is as we plant, no, the Joel Villanuevas of this world will also plant in Bulacan. The Carlo Nograleses of this world will plant all over Mindanao and Davao, Albi in the Visayas. No? Ito ang plano natin lahat. And then we will actually be starting to build communities. No? So again, thank you to everyone who is part of this. The work is just beginning. We really need your help. Dennis, we really need your help. But may I wind down or conclude by also saying this. I can see how you look at me. And like Monsur is looking and saying, okay sa sports, pero paano yung renewal ng passport? Nowadays, I'm only known for a passport, and let me take advantage na nandyan si ES. First of all, let me state for a fact that the President's directive is to make it easy, comfortable, swift, fast to get a passport. So we owe it to you to have an efficient and effective and a fast system. Having said that, just like the sports complex, this problem wasn't created overnight. For the last 6 years, the problem has been growing, but somehow DFA did not make its mark on Congress. So it's only last year, through the help of Congressman Nogales and Lauren Legarde, and of course the seatmates, that about 2 billion was added to the DFA, including 9 consular offices. So let me just tell you 3 quick things. Number one, tomorrow, and later on at 1 o'clock, we're opening up 100,000 slots for February, March, April, May. And we will be doing it not 100,000 a day, but every day we will be putting more slots so that all of you who want to travel during the summer will not be hampered because you do not have a passport. Okay. Secondly, we have 4 vans, passport on wheels that can make 2,000 passports, can process a day. We're asking for 6 more, so that will be 5,000, and that will be half of our capacity because now we're at 9,000. By February, we want to get to 20,000. No? And at 20,000, you should be able to get an appointment within 2 weeks to 1 month. Wala na yung 3 months, 4 months na waiting. But you know, we're in government. So we cannot just hire 100 people and pay them. We have to get it from DBM, we have to get their appointment and everything. So we're now using APO and UJEC to supply us with people just to be able to meet the demand. But let me close by saying, you know, I don't speak as tough as the President, you know, but you've known me when I was in the Senate. So I just like to give a warning to any syndicate, real or imagined, syndicate, ng mga sindikato na nagplaplano pa lang, o yung mga nangloloko sa Facebook, or yung mga actual na nagcha-charge ng 5,000-10,000 for passports. We are going after you. I've already asked the NBI since September to help. Tomorrow, I'll talk to Chief PNP Bato. I'll give him a call and I'll ask the Executive Secretary for help. For us to look kung totoong, when we launch the 100,000 allotment later on, go online, let's see. Kung maubos ka agad, talagang the demand is high, but there's also probably robots that they're using. So we will use the technology. But let me assure you, once maayos yung problema, tuloy-tuloy na to. Why? There's already an application. You can take a picture of your passport, then you selfie yourself, you send it to us, we will mail you the passport. So question, why don't we implement it now? Because the old suppliers lost all of our biometrics. They said it got corrupted. So it's my first time to learn that not only politicians and businessmen, but data can also be corrupted. No? So that's why we have to have you in our centers to take the biometrics. And unlike all other licenses, sir, ma'ams, we cannot afford a fake passport. Because if terrorists use a Philippine passport, the credibility of our whole passporting system will go down the drain. That's why we can't just outsource it to the different agencies. I cannot have a MOA with SecArt because LTO is all over the country, diba? Because if you have a fake license, you can get a fake driver's license all around the world. No? But if you have a fake passport, it really causes a lot of problem for everyone. So please bear with us, but we will make sure you'll be able to travel. And lastly, we instructed all of our consular offices around the world and here in the Philippines, if you have urgent travel, death in the family, an important conference, or whatever reason, just walk in. Don't do it all at the same time. If we take out the appointment systems, you'll be lining up for 3-4 days. So, but if you do have an urgent, look for the supervisor or the office manager, and we gave them instructions to accommodate. So again, maraming salamat, Vince, PCDA, to the people who are going to build the Asian Development Bank, POC, PSC, our presidential advisor. Let's build, 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 but let's get the gold medals for the Philippines. God bless you all.